Sheet Metal Training Step 3.16, the Adjustments page. Within the data file, click the Adjustments button, and you'll be shown the Adjustments page. Starting in the top left, you have the Gauge Override Adjustment. Add a percentage from the fab labor for each gauge heavier than the default. So if your default gauge is 24 for a particular item, and the user changes the gauge to 22, would you like the fabrication labor to go up? By putting a 5 in there, it'll increase it by 5%. By putting 25, it'll go up 25%. Subtract percent for fab labor for each gauge lighter than the default. If you wish it to go down, you could put in a -5, and it'll deduct that labor by 5% for each gauge that it is lightened. The repetition adjustment for quantity and multiples. Subtract the percent below from rectangular duct, spiral pipe, and everything else. Repetition adjustment will allow you to dictate a quantity, and if the user enters one line item that has a quantity greater than what you put in, the deduction will be made. If we put in 5% for rec duct and we say the quantity is 10, and so if your user were to take off 10 pieces of duct in one line item, the fabrication labor will be deducted by 5%. Same can be said for spiral pipe and everything else. This will not go through the job and add up all of the pieces of duct, and if they are greater than this 10, deduct the 5%. It is saying for one single line item entry within the takeoff screen. Exposed option. When an item is marked as exposed in takeoff, add the below percentage to the grand total. So if you check the exposed box on the left-hand side of this takeoff screen, you can have 10% added to the fabrication process. For it taking longer within the shop, them being more careful not to scratch or dent the duct. And you can also say add a flat hours. So if we wanted to add 6 minutes, we would put in a 0.1 and a 10% increase. So we could also do this for spiral pipe and all fittings. You could also have a flat percentage added to the scrap when an item is marked as exposed. So if I check the box that say all 24 gauge duct is going to be exposed, I want to add 5% to the scrap. This would conclude the overview of the adjustments page.